What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of CineNerds. I'm JP.
I'm Ryan.
I'm James.
And today we are going to go over Fatman, which was my pick. And I believe it was both of y'all's first times
Yes.
seeing it.
Said that, but yeah, it is.
All I kept thinking when I heard the title of this, too, and you'll appreciate this, is Kevin Smith's podcast, Fat Man, I'm Batman.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too. Like when I first heard about this movie.
Like, I need to be honest. Every movie he ever picks, I'm immediately just going to think, fuck. So initially I was like, good God. And he told me what this movie is about. And I'm like, I looked at my wife and I go, you going to watch this with me? And she goes, I guess. Surprisingly, I enjoyed it.
Oh, I knew you would enjoy it.
No, you think I'm going to enjoy a lot of
You're
things.
going
I'm
to
definitely
enjoy
not.
everything I throw at you.
No. No.
So, but yeah, what I was going to say, when I first heard about this movie, and I guess it was probably 6 months before it came out. When I first saw the title, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, Kevin Smith?
You got excited for a completely different
For a
reason.
completely different reason. And then I saw the trailer and I saw Walton Goggins and I was like,
And
okay.
boners.
Every
For
time I
everyone.
hear his name, all I want to do is go, Walter fucking Goggins.
Well, he showed up, and so my wife actually, she's not a big fan of Righteous Gemstones, and I actually had to talk to him. I'm like, I think you need to give it another try because that was actually really good. But every time I see the guy now, all I can think of is Baby Billy.
Well, you need to dive into the universe of Walton Goggins.
The universe?
The Walton Goggins universe.
This could be a whole episode just for you.
I mean, he was in the next Karate Kid. As
Never saw
one of
Karate
the
Kid.
villains.
It's one of the ones I blocked out.
Yeah, he's one of the
Blocked
villains in
out.
that. He shows up in The Hateful Eight. He shows up in Django.
What? House of a Thousand Corpses? He's
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Justified, Sons of Anarchy.
The Shield.
The Shield, and then he's in Fallout, the upcoming Fallout series.
He's also in
So-
Death Cure.
And what?
Death Cure. Maze Runner.
Oh, okay. I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Vice Principals.
Cowboys and Aliens.
Well, let's talk about
I
Mel
forgot
Gibson.
he was in Cowboys and Aliens.
Let's talk about Mel Gibson for a minute.
What about Mel Gibson?
I feel like over the last, he's been a hit and miss for me. This was a home run. This was a great movie.
What flavor are you rocking there while he's talking about
It's a
this?
chocolate caramel. You don't need that. You got one with
Okay, I have
pretzels.
Oh, I got the same one. Oh, with pretzels. Forget.
He doesn't like
Go
pretzels.
Back to your
I do
point.
care. See, I do care. Wait, hold on. You gotta rip it. Give me that.
Apparently, I don't know how to open a bag.
I don't trust you. So, with that being said, I feel that he has been a hit and a miss on movies for me over the last 10 years or so.
Well, since he
Almost.
he had all those issues and freaking out and
But I felt like his attitude in life really kind of showed through on this one.
well, it's Mel Gibson. The past 15 years is not the same Mel Gibson we had in The Road Warrior. It's just he's just not the same person. Or
Is it fair to
or
say-
publicly he's not the same
Is
person.
it fair to say since Passion of the Christ? I kind of feel like it started then.
Well, I think it started before Passion, but yeah,
It really hit then.
You're really good.
yeah, I was really
kind of-
for three, brother.
yeah I was really enjoying the chocolate caramel. So, initial thoughts.
I like. I liked the darkness of Santa Claus, of Kris Kringle.
The bitter old Santa.
I mean, come on, the first time you see me shooting a gun, just taking target practice. I like. There's a part of me because I didn't know anything going on, and I'm like, is that supposed to be? Is he Santa? Because Santa's out there shooting target practice in the middle of the snow. You know, I like that Santa wasn't this holly jolly, everything's perfect guy. Like they have issues, real issues, and that they got to figure them out. You know, like I didn't really like that. The only part that I get why they did it, but I wish that maybe there's some slight different way. And maybe I'm getting a little ahead, so I apologize. I didn't like how when he signed the deal that they just like took over and the government was just like all over the place.
Yeah.
I could have dealt without that.
But that was, I think,
It's part of the movie.
That's part
They
of the
had to.
movie.
I get
That's
it.
what the elves could have dealt without too. They didn't want it.
Yeah, no, but I really liked. Again, there's a thing here. There's another thing here that is, you got this bratty kid acting like an a-hole,
It's weird how Christmas brings out the bratty kids.
right? Like, okay, we didn't touch this
What
last
language was that?
We didn't touch this last episode. We didn't touch this last episode, so let's talk about this right now. What was Christmas like for you guys as kids? What did you do on Christmas morning?
I mean, I went straight downstairs and ripped presents open.
Did you wait for the family, or did you were just that asshole kid that just said, this is my name and I'm opening it right now?
No, I waited on the family. However, I was also that bratty kid that was like jumping on everybody's beds and pulling on the blankets off of them to get
God,
them to
you were
wake
an
up
asshole.
to come down so we could open presents.
Ryan?
Mine was great till about 8. Parents got divorced, and then it was
Back and forth.
Bender Christmas. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't that. I had my moments, but it was nothing special. So, adulthood was different for me. I really didn't care much for Christmas at that point. But my wife, I'm putting her business out there. I don't care. She grew up Jehovah's Witness, so her not having the holidays growing up was a lot for her. And so when we first got together and we started decorating, she literally stopped me because I was being such a crank about it. And she goes, "You realize I'm like a little kid to this. This is new to me, and it means a lot to me." And I didn't understand it. And when she said that, I embraced it. We started decorating, getting into it. It made it 10 times better for the kids, and we've had a better experience with our kids.
Well,
Myself,
we've had friends, especially growing up, that were Jehovah's Witness. And I'm not going to say names, but same way with them. You know, they wasn't allowed to celebrate their birthday. Some of them didn't even know when their birthdays actually were.
Wow.
And they didn't celebrate Christmas or any of that. So once they kind of got away from that, it's like they dive all in, you know, because it's something they didn't experience.
It's like when I was a kid, like I remember 2nd grade, I remember my dad, I don't know what even stemmed this conversation, but I remember him, like, my dad was always very honest with me. He was like, look, there's no Santa.
Oh,
And
no.
but it didn't bother me because I already knew. I already knew, so him having that conversation, like, I appreciate everything. My parents are the best. And I realize that I am one of those few people, like, at 41 years old whose parents are still married at 46 years later. You know, so, like, I appreciated the conversation. But I remember being a kid and, like, having a hard time falling asleep because, you know, and I finally get to sleep, but I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I would go out and I'd go through my stocking just to see, and I put it all back in, like, but I was so meticulous. Like, I was like, this came out first. Second, I put it in a line, so I knew to put it all back in because I did not want to get caught and get yelled at because I did what I did. But I was never the kid that shook things because I was afraid things would break. You know, so I just always waited. I loved going to my grandma's as a kid because she always had 2 trees. So I had like 2 trees of presents. And let's just be honest. I mean, it would have been the same amount under the same tree, but it felt different because she had a tree in the front of the house and a tree in the back of the house. And so it felt different. So for me, like, that brattiness that comes out in these movies, I never had that as a kid. Mainly because I was the favorite. I probably was the favorite grandchild because I was the last. I kind of felt that way.
I don't like, you know, the whole brattiness. Anyway, I wasn't that bratty kid, but I was definitely the spoiled kid. You know, so
It still shows, by the way.
It still shows, but you know, I remember Christmas going down and just having lots of presents. I did shake them. I did do all this, you know.
This is so much insight to understanding everything that happens now.
Yeah. So.
Well, I shake everything as well, but at the same time, now my wife's made it into a game. She purposely choose different boxes to wrap, different packing, different sized items, multiple boxes within boxes. Do those things to mess with me because she knows I'll do that still.
Yeah.
You two are giant children.
How many times a year do you go to Disney?
I only do it for the wife.
There's that language again.
I mean, I like going. I enjoy going, but it's my wife. When I was a kid,
enjoy it, right?
I do enjoy it.
Okay.
I like going with her. It's fun.
Wow.
When I was a kid though, I will never forget. Christmas of '95. I just started playing guitar in '94. So I had my Stratocaster, is what I learned on a Fender Mexican Strat. And I had a little custom amp that it sounded like crap. And I wanted it to be heavy, but it was never going to be. I had a death metal pedal, with it. And I remember going to Cleveland Music on when it was open. And I don't know why, but I picked out the Fender Ultimate Chorus amp. And I'll never forget, Christmas is all over. Gifts are all done. And I'm sitting there, and my parents go, "Good Christmas?" And I go, "Yeah, but I want what's behind there," because I could see the amp. They had it covered in a trash bag, hoping they wouldn't see it because it was in black. And my dad goes, "How the hell did you see that?" And I was like, "Oh, I've been sitting here all morning waiting for." I knew what it was. I was like, "Let's go," And I still had my death metal pedal because a Fender amp's not going to give me the tone I wanted at the time. But I'll never forget, that was like the one Christmas, that's like of all the gifts that was ever given, that was the one that I'll never forget, that whole conversation. It's like, it was a great Christmas, but I don't remember one thing from that Christmas after that.
All right, do we want to dive into this movie?
Do it.
Do it.
I dare you. Walter Gaggins.
Walton Goggins.
Walton
Walton
Gaggins.
Goggins. So yeah, the movie starts. The kid starts with writing the letter to Santa, and this kid is just awful. I mean,
one of the worst kids I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, it goes through the numbers of showing this kid. He's going, he's ripping checks out of his grandmother's checkbook and forging her name.
Did he really win all of those before, or was he bought off?
Never said. I mean,
I'm pretty sure it was bought off.
He probably.
I feel like Dad just donated to the school to win, and he didn't do it this year because he was gone.
So yeah, he goes to the science fair this year. He loses, snaps, hires Walton Goggins. You're going to hear that name
every time you say his name. You're going to smile like that,
am.
aren't you?
Hires Walton Goggins to kidnap the winner, which is a little girl. And he threatens to electrocute her with a car battery. I mean, this kid is just like the worst.
I did not expect that scene.
I know, right?
I was not expecting that scene at all. I was like, wow, that's pretty fucked up, actually. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. I mean,
I was saying my kiddos made me watch iCarly a lot. But there's this character on iCarly named Neville, and that kid in this movie in Fatman reminded me of Neville. He's just this creepy, horrible, spoiled kid. So
well, and he's kind of the same because it's the same kid that is the main bad guy in Deadpool 2.
Oh yeah,
I never realized that.
Yeah, he's the same kid that plays the little bad guy kid in Deadpool 2, and he's the same spoiled kid in this, and he's kind of an awful kid in Deadpool, So I think I almost wonder if that's his personality at this point.
Become the method actor that just turned him into it. The one thing that I really enjoyed in the beginning was the banter, how things work between Kris Kringle and the wife.
Yeah.
I like that dynamic and that relationship in this movie because she was there. Later he says, "I'm sorry, I haven't been myself."
Yeah.
And it shows to me, and again, I'm getting a little real. Sorry, Ryan. But it shows something. It shows that someone stuck behind someone through their shit instead of just giving up, which is what we live in now.
Hold on. I don't have a problem with you getting real. I didn't even have a problem with your choices and characters. I was just pointing out that you like more realistic characters.
I do.
That's all.
It's like his superheroes. He likes them real.
I mean, because Santa Claus is real, and especially Santa's with super strength.
Dick.
He did lift that crate up like it was nothing.
He did something else in the movie too that was showing the strength.
It was something. I think.
When he moved the
sled or something. Yeah.
But I just really, really enjoyed their relationship in the movie.
Well, I love the fact that it starts and you've got Santa and he's just this bitter old man that's going to the bar, drinking, going to the post office to get his letters.
I like how he ruined it for the bartender though.
Yeah.
Like he was like, nah, this ain't happening.
Yeah, he goes into the bar and there's a guy there drinking, flirting with the bartender, and he looks at the guy and says,
Calls him up by his name.
calls him by his name and says, "How's the wife and kids?
Like,
You could get home by Christmas if you leave now."
yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
and-
I like that a lot, and the fact that she comes out and calls him out and goes, where'd you go?
yeah,
It's like, don't be like
But
that.
that gave him the first real big Santa vibes for me because he knew everything about him. He's like,
Yeah.
he knew his list. He's making
Yeah.
it twice, and hey, get your shit home. You need to go home.
yeah. And then he gets home and then he takes off. It's Christmas. He's going to go deliver presents, but he's bitter about it. He's still bitter. He's like, it's more like, another night.
Well, this is the first time that we see Santa Claus and the whole operation as a business,
Yeah,
and the
Yeah.
money's not there.
yeah.
Like we've never had that in any story that we've ever known of Santa Claus. We've never thought of it as, hey, we're not going to be able to operate soon.
Yeah,
This ain't going to happen.
It's instead of having these magical toys just appear out of thin air. It's this is a business. We
Yeah.
have to have expenses and we have to pay for things to make these things.
And it's funded by the government.
yeah,
Yeah, and before he even leaves for Christmas, the guys from the government show up and say, "Hey, this is your check. This is all you're getting. It's not our fault that all the kids are bad."
I imagine that if there were a Santa Claus, that this would be the modern day equivalent. Like
Yeah.
it would be realistic in that regard.
Yeah,
Well, and like you said, you just said it, but like, and I never thought about it. Like I thought about it when he said it, and I was just like, he's like, it's not my fault that the kids are assholes.
yeah,
Like, and he's right, it's not.
yeah.
So like, where is the correlation of like, well, you get less because the world's acting like dickheads?
He's like, we still have to run the business.
Yeah, like it's all the same. I mean, less may be being made, but the same amount of people are here. I mean, what are you gonna do? Lay off elves?
Yeah.
Like we need to find a way to like not let people be such assholes.
And and that's when they're like, "Hey, we got another option for you. You make us, make these weapons for us, and we'll give you more money." Yeah, and he doesn't want to do it, but
You don't have a choice.
he don't have a choice. Yeah, but one thing I loved, especially after he leaves, he's walking out the door with his flask with that there's alcohol in this, and his wife comes out and says, "Oh no, you're not doing that," and gives him hot chocolate and for him to take. But he leaves, and then you don't see him again. You don't see Santa go give gifts. You see him leave. You see him come back, and he's all shot up. The sleigh's shot up, so like people are shooting at him as he's trying to.
He came in injured,
Yeah,
and he just went to bed. He just took care of it and went to bed.
Well, he goes to the bathroom and like cleans it, and that's kind of it.
It's almost like the norm
Yeah.
for him at this point.
And then the scenes with Walton Goggins, where he's buying old Christmas gifts from Santa off people. And like the guy,
I got a kick out of
the
that.
guy
The
comes
baseball bat.
The guy comes in with the baseball bat, and he's like, "Is there any place I can sit?" He's like, "Does it fucking look like there's any place for you to sit?"
So to give some like context to that piece right there. So Walton Goggins' character is an assassin in this movie, and the little boy hires him, and we already established that for the little girl in the torture. But in this particular instance, the kid rehires him because the kid is gifted a piece of coal for Christmas, and he loses his shit. So he hires Walter Goggins.
Walton.
I don't know why. Walton. I knew it was an N. That's why. Anyways, I'm going to say Goggins. He hires Goggins. Goggins.
Gaggins.
No, you can gag all you like. Anyways, so Goggins has this obsession with the Santa toys he's been collecting, and so from there, when he gets this hit, he doesn't dismiss this kid who's calling him and like say it's Santa, really?
Because
And instead
he's as
like,
angry as the kid is.
yeah, and so now you've got this assassin who's like, I'm gonna find Santa. I'm gonna do it. I'm so close. I will get there. And he makes it happen, finds him. That's where we go. So I like that you're breaking that stuff down.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love, like, before the kid calls him, it's Christmas morning, and Goggins is at a
Training.
shooting range.
Yeah.
He's at a shooting range, and he does like one.
He's like,
one
I'm
little-
paying you to be here.
Yeah,
Like,
he does like one thing through the shooting range, and the guy goes, "Oh, well,
that was his. Well, he said it was a record.
yeah." He's like, "Yeah, that's a record. Oh, well, you're doing good. We'll go ahead and close up." He's like, "I'm not paying you to close up." It's like, it's Christmas. I don't care. I paid you for X amount of hours. Reset it up. So yeah, like I love that he's just such a jerk.
The whole movie.
The whole movie.
I mean,
The
nothing
whole
lets
movie.
up. Nothing lets up.
But I love the fact that he's such a jerk, but then he starts traveling to try to find Santa. And he goes around to the post office and this and that, but by the time he figures out a ballpark area where Santa's at, he's driving north with his gerbil or his guinea pig.
Yeah.
Guinea pig,
His
yeah.
guinea pig.
His pet.
His little guinea pig.
What I loved is that he has the toy that I don't know if it was his when he was little, the little car. I don't think we really get context of that, or if he collected it, but I believe it's his, and that's the last thing he got
Yeah,
from Santa.
yeah, the little police car.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's carrying this thing with him the whole movie while collecting the other items that have the little Santa placards on the bottom. And all these things are like collectibles to him, and he's on the hunt for them. But that car means the most to him, and so he has him. And when he does come into contact with Santa, the first thing he does is throws it at him. I was like, this thing's been your like everything for so long.
It's been
You just
50
threw it
years,
at
and you
him.
just
I'm
launched
like,
it at him.
wow, dude.
Yeah, I love it. I love it when he stops at the pet store and the girl's following around going, "You're a snake person. I see you as a reptile person." And he's like, mind your own fucking business. I don't want your fucking snake, you know. But then when he leaves the pet store, he goes outside, and that little kid with the airplanes out there, he looks at the kid.
How much you want?
Santa bring you that?
But I love that he tells little kids how much you want. It's like, what?
$100. Yeah, it's so. I love that he's just such a.
He's just so bitter.
He's just so bitter. He's just.
The whole
Walton
thing
Goggins is
when
just
he's
such a
buying
good bad
everything
guy.
to go to the white suit and like it's almost like he's almost human for a minute when he's talking with that guy, but I think it's because he's just getting so excited to actually have the stuff he needs,
Yeah.
and I the only thing about that whole scene when he infiltrates is it was just so easy for him. Like, was he really that good of an assassin, or was our government just that bad? Like, because, I mean, he just walked right through everybody. It was,
Pick your poison there.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
I guess that can go either way.
Yeah, I mean, it was, to me, it was just like, geez. Meanwhile, he's in this old car. Like, I loved how his whole interaction, like, the fact that he had everything necessary to go through customs in Canada. The whatever the numbers were on the sheets, like, he had everything ready to go. Like, he was so prepared. He knew what he was doing. And that part cracked me up because I've had to go through customs quite a few times where it's like, you forget about something.
I love during this time when he's still traveling, the government's there, and they're starting to make weapons. They're having the elves help them make these weapons, and it goes to their break room, and all the elves are eating like
Sugar.
pies and cake and just sugar,
Everything
just pure
that's
sugar.
diabetic.
And the main general or whatever, whoever he is, he looks at the main head elf and he's like,
7.
Yeah, his name's Seven. He's like, you guys would probably do better if you eat some vegetables and this and that. And he's like, no, we figured out the most efficient way. He's like, it's nothing but carbs and sugars and
20-minute naps.
20-minute naps. We work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And he's like, for how long? He's like, forever.
Well, in all reality, actually, what it would have for me, it would have been funnier if he would have commented back saying, "Well, we're supposed to be on break right now, but we're here doing this for you."
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, they were supposed to be on a break at that point.
I would have laughed harder if they poured syrup on spaghetti.
I actually kind of want to try that now.
Elf, mother.
Yeah. Elf.
I have not seen that movie since it came out, and I refuse
I
to
know,
watch it.
that's why.
But
I was
now he
telling
wants
you.
to. Now he wants the meal.
Yeah.
He wants the spaghetti.
Yeah, don't
with
ruin my syrup with
Maple
spaghetti.
syrup on spaghetti.
maple
Don't
syrup
ruin
on
my
spaghetti.
I will super trooper syrup, but you do not ruin it with spaghetti.
And then there's spaghetti tacos, since I talked about iCarly earlier.
I do.
And
like
I'm the weirdo.
I do like spaghetti.
You're over here
sandwich.
talking about
eat that.
iCarly.
I don't. That's because I have kids. You know, I know pretty much most all the lines to Nemo, Finding Nemo, because of my kids. There's so much. Anyways, yeah,
You're adorable.
life.
Spaghetti with ranch dressing on bread.
Garlic bread.
Yep.
Okay,
Garlic bread.
sure, that works. Nothing wrong with that.
Fuck is wrong with you two?
It's good stuff.
Supposedly he makes a deep fried grilled cheese. That's like we have to have.
Yeah, Church always makes me make it every time he's here. It's like, you gotta make me one of your
So
grilled cheese.
next time we shoot, I'm expecting lunch. I'll bring the bread and the cheese. I don't give a shit.
What else you got there, buddy?
So Walton gets to whatever town this is up north where Santa's
It's the
at.
North Pole, bro.
Yeah, it's not
No,
the North Pole.
he's in Canada.
Yeah, it's someplace in Canada or Alaska or someplace up there.
I think they did actually go to Alaska. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
But
Was it?
I felt like they did, but I could be wrong.
I don't know.
I know they went into Canada.
They went into Canada for sure. But yeah, he's waiting out at the post office. He goes in. He talks to the postman. He's like, "Hey, do you know where Kris Kringle's at?"
I'm an old
I'm an
work
old friend. So he waits there for Santa to show up. And he sees him. He follows him back.
Well, the best is when the bus goes by, like the truck or bus, whatever
Yeah.
that is. It just like screws this whole shot up.
Yeah, because he was going to shoot him there, but then he ends up following him, and he pulls off to the side and walks up, and he sees the military there. So
You would think that would deter someone
it would deter the normal person. However, this is Walton Goggin.
because it's him, not because it's the way it was wrote. Because it's him.
If it was anybody else in this character, he would have just turned around and left. But however, this is Walton Goggins. So he goes back to his car to regroup. Gets his gun, his white outfit, so he can blend in with the snow. He has his skis. So at this point, like you were saying a minute ago, he just slaughters the entire military.
It was a little
there.
ridiculous. There was no fight back. It was just him just taking everyone out.
Well, there's a little bit of fight back once he actually gets into.
After he all that's left is the captain or whatever his name is, the main government guy. Like, and he's trying to save him.
Down by the way,
Huh?
the main captain, he went out like a bitch. By the way.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
Like it was a little
because of
ridiculous.
that Goggins guy.
Goggins.
If it was anybody
Goggin.
else. If it was anybody else. No, I the only thing that got me was I wish that their fight would had a little bit more involved.
I could see that. I mean, he goes in and he
He slaughters everybody, and then their
yeah.
fight's like
He just slaughters everybody. Puts some bombs up in the bunker. Comes out, blows the bunker up, and then he's face to face with Santa Claus. Yeah, and he throws the car at him. I've been looking for you, fat man. Yeah, and then there's like a big shootout, but I thought it was hilarious. I may be wrong, but I swear one of the guns that Santa comes out with is it's obviously like an old revolver, but it looks like it's like a black powder revolver. Like it.
Oh, that's what she had. She had the two.
Well, yeah,
She had the two the flintlock.
Yeah, she had the flintlock, but it looked like his was like one of those old revolvers that were
might have to
black,
go
were
back
like a
and watch
black
that
powder
again.
revolver. Like it was an old revolver. Yeah, and there's the huge shootout. I thought it was. It plays out pretty quick.
It's very quick
It's very-
compared to the lead up to
Yeah,
it. You would
yeah.
expected it to be a little bit more.
Yeah, you expect like this big face off, and that is one of the things that falls short for me with this movie. Is the shootout is super fast and
And who wins?
well, Walton Goggins wins.
Technically, he wins. Now, here's my question. Sorry if I'm bouncing a little too far ahead too fast, but at the end, what happens? Santa goes and, they go see the kid. So how did he live through that?
Because he's Santa.
That's what I was wondering. Is this the superpower Santa that we haven't seen yet?
Or did he just get lucky? Seen it. You already seen it.
Yeah, he was already healing rapidly.
Yeah, he was
through all.
I don't think I realized that.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that.
When he was shot in the side, when he went and cleaned it, it showed him a couple days later unwrapping it, and it was almost healed.
Okay,
on the side.
So he can heal himself, but he's getting older.
Well,
so does he die eventually, or is he always?
You're looking way too far into this.
Just asking questions, man. This is why we're here.
Yeah, this is true.
Like I mean, like there's holes that I need explanations. Your movie, explain.
Hey, I didn't make the film. I just watch it.
Because
Santa is what you make of him.
Do you know? Because all he
he
saw,
only feels as young as people believe in him.
He only wanted to watch this because Gaggins was in it.
Goggins.
Gaggins.
So, JP, when you guys are on tour in the back of the van,
here we go.
Does his
I'm gonna
throat
take your
make
popcorn
a
away.
gag or gag noise?
Well, I mean, he's like.
Oh, so it's Gug. Okay, so it's Guggins.
Guggins.
What's up, Guggins?
Chuggins. And I did enjoy how they went after the kid at the end.
Yeah, well, I mean...
How do we jump topics?
Yeah.
We just went from that to I enjoy that went for the kid.
Because you're the one that took it the other way, asshole.
I mean, technically you are, but...
So, after he shoots Santa in the freaking eye.
In the eye. You're dead.
He just kept us on track. Did you see that?
Yeah,
well
see,
done.
As he should.
That transition, perfect, didn't it? He shoots him in the eye, a lot like how you do.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not even commenting.
Back to the dark side.
I'm not
away
even
from
commenting.
The moral, wonderful kindness that we projected to you guys.
When?
No, I was just lying.
When?
I was at some point. I'm sure we came across as wholesome.
I go on tour and shoot pictures of JP and post the chronicles of JP as he's smoking everywhere.
I always have angry face too. I told him he's not allowed to take photos of me smiling. I always have to have angry face.
The only picture that really cracks me up is the one where I took you popped your head out of the bunk. You're just like.
But after he shoots Santa in the eye, he's laying there. Well, I believe Santa's wife shoots him.
Yeah, Santa's wife takes him out.
She hits him from there, but then he chases her in the house, and then he sneaks in, but he follows a blood trail because he shoots her too. They go in there. The door slides open from behind him, and she shoots him in the back of the head, cold-blooded like.
Well,
I mean, she
at
literally,
that point you have to.
She
I mean, he's
literally
destroyed everything they
assassinated him.
have.
Era Mrs. Claus.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mrs. Claus assassinated him.
So is this the typical? Did they do this on purpose because it just shows that the woman really runs the house?
Well, she
I mean,
kind
we know
of
Mrs. Claus
did.
is the boss. Dude.
Yeah, she kind of did. Yeah, I don't think we can deny that.
Speak for yourself.
You wish. I wish. You wish.
I make the rules in my house. I do what I want.
I think the internet definitely proves different on that.
I don't know what you're talking about, but Jess is not in charge. I am, okay? My kids do not. They definitely do not say, "Oh, mom's home. I'll ask her." They never do that. No.
The fact that you said that so fast proves otherwise.
So they go out, and you find out Santa's still alive. He's barely moving, but he's still alive. It jumps ahead a little bit, shows him healing. They go track down the kid. The grandmother finds out that there's money missing, so she's trying to track down where this money's gone.
Yeah, she called the bank.
Yeah, and the naughty kid from Deadpool, he goes and this kid goes and gets fentanyl pills and mixes it in milk to give to his grandmother
to kill grandma.
And then
Santa drinks it.
Chugs it.
Yeah, Santa comes in, and he's like, he drinks it, the whole thing down, and goes, fentanyl, that'll do the job. And he basically sits down and is like, I'm going to be watching. If you even
If
look
she even
at-
gets sick.
if you even look at somebody weird, I'm coming.
Well, he said if that girl
Yeah.
even gets a cold, he's coming back for her,
Yeah.
for him. And yeah, and I like that.
And he lifts his little eye patch up, and you don't see it at first, but then it shows it like towards the end of what he's saying. And he's like, "I've got my eye on you." Yeah, and that's basically the end of the movie. But
Yeah.
it's just. It's a pretty fast paced movie.
It really was, and it's
didn't
honestly
feel it.
why I didn't write any notes for it, because it was so quick you couldn't keep up. You'd miss stuff.
Yeah.
See, I didn't get the. It wasn't super fast paced for me. It dragged a little bit, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Yes. Just because in the beginning you weren't quite clear and you weren't quite sure in the beginning if he was like a traditional Santa or just a human version of who we see as Santa. So I wasn't quite there. But I'll get into it when you're.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, he's
done. You go.
We're at the end.
All right. So for me, I'm going to start off with a little preface with this. You mentioned a window of time for Mel Gibson and his change in demeanor. So he's been sober the last 10 years. So I didn't know that. So that's part of that. In 2010, he oddly had a few racist rants where he went on and on. So I
I do remember that.
I did feel like this is one of those, like, I'm kind of at the stage with Mel Gibson where I feel like the last few that he's put out have been excellent movies. I feel like he's pulling a Nicolas Cage, trying to reinvent himself, come back swinging. Because you look at this, you look at Continental.
I thought he was great in a Continental.
So I think that establishing Mrs. Claus as a woman of color was a good touch and a good look for him as he rebuilds who he's trying to become again from all that. So I'm happy to see him overcoming that and moving forward. Now, to that point, I will say this. Why can't I get a fucking old Mad Max movie? Like, he has crushed it in Continental, and now and they're both action movies.
We're getting a young Furiosa.
I know,
but
that's
we're not
cool.
But we're not getting old Mel.
But I want old Mel Gibson as Mad Max. That's, like, really all I want to see out of him, if anything.
Yeah.
No.
He's an angry
But
guy.
instead we're getting a new Lethal Weapon.
I'll take that too, though. That's not bad. So now, but I digress. Back in the movie, though. So the movie for me, I did like. I think I was more intrigued by Goggins' character than I was anything else. The little spoiled shit just made me want to hit the little kid over and over because he was too much, and they did that for a reason, and it helped deliver that. But just the whole way it's not a bad thing, but it wasn't a positive for me either when the way they developed his character, Mel Gibson's character, Santa. So I would have liked to see them. I don't know. It's so weird. It's back and forth. I think it's worth a second or third watch even.
Oh yeah.
Just to go back and kind of reanalyze his specific portion of it, because there's a lot to unpack. I kind of feel with him, especially the way they're trying to spin him. They definitely put that business element on it, like you said. There's just so much to unpack as far as the reality and the ways that it can apply to today. But that ending though, with how he came back to the kid, the fentanyl, those things really kind of locked in. I won't say my score yet. I almost did, but I did give it a reasonable score because I did feel that it had its moments for sure. I just feel like it could have. I don't know. There's just elements. Maybe it was like things like the gunfight, like you mentioned, those anticlimactic moments that you had high hopes for that just didn't come across to me.
Yeah.
So I would have liked to see more out of it, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
My one thing I'll take out of it, you guys pretty much hit everything, but I feel that Goggins' character was a good portrayal of what we're living in now, where he is so hurt from childhood that he hasn't gotten over it yet.
Yeah.
And we have so many adults right now that are so hurt from past experiences that, that they haven't gotten through it yet, and they haven't found a way to mentally move past that. And that's him.
Yeah.
He was hurt by Santa at such a young age that the minute he got the call, he's like, done. Like, I've been wanting to do this anyway, and it's like, and it just showed like how, like, even as an adult, you don't act like an adult. You still act like a little spoiled child at 50 years old or however old he's supposed to be, that he never moved past that trauma of being a young kid and realizing as you got older, like, well, instead, all he had to do was look at himself and go, well, I acted like a jerk as a kid, so I got treated like one.
Yeah.
Instead, he's angry and wants to take it out on him instead of just realizing I'm a dick.
And I watched this movie the first year it came out. And when I initially watched it, like, I loved this movie. And I've watched it every Christmas, every December since then. So, like, the past 3 or 4 years.
It came out in 20, so yeah.
So I've watched it every year. And I love it, but the more I watch it, the more I'm like, it's got issues. There's a lot of issues with this film. Cool little side note on this. I think it wasn't last Christmas. It was the Christmas before. So it must.
You
have
gave
been,
your heart away.
Do what?
Last Christmas.
Son of a bitch.
Go ahead.
Do you want him to wake you up before he goes?
Can you?
Well, maybe.
Before he got gogs?
My son was taking a film class.
Man, we got to work on these segues. These transitions are rough. Yeah.
My son was was taking a film class, and he came home. He's like, "Have you ever seen this movie, Fatman?" I'm like, "Why, yes, I have. I just watched it last year, and I'm planning on watching it this year." And he's like, "Well, they had me watch it in class." Like, you really had you watch this movie in school? And no, this is his senior year. I mean, he was at high school at the time, and I'm like, I couldn't believe it because I mean, it's
got some but seniors. I mean,
yeah.
So.
Well, we'll have so do you have the box office information?
Well, hold on. Before we do that, I did find it interesting because I went further into the Isham and Ian Nalms.
Oh, yeah.
Nalms, the directors. They don't really. All their stuff is very independent short film stuff. Before this is their first
Yeah.
So I did want to make note of that because I feel it's important that where we feel it's lacking some areas, it's also I feel it's them developing themselves.
So if that's the case, they actually did really well.
Yeah, for a first film, for like a first major film, should I say? 'Cause
Yeah.
they have substantial amount of films. They're just all small, low budget, independent stuff. So
Unfortunately, I looked at that too, and I thought, because I was like, I wonder what else these guys did, because I really didn't even know who they were.
I didn't either. Yeah.
And so when I looked up their IMDb to see what they had done, and I saw it was all short films, then I saw Fat Man was kind of like their first full length thing, and then I looked at the box office, and I realized that probably why these guys have not been really active since then for the most part.
Yeah, because it probably I didn't even know it was at the box office.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm looking at the numbers right now, and I will say without saying the numbers, if you look at how much it costs to what they made, if you look at that percentage, the percentage is actually great. But if you look at
we must be looking at way different numbers.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm looking at right now. It says it cost. Oh no, I'm looking at it backwards. That's my fault. I looked at it backwards. My fault. I did look at that backwards. That's my fault.
Yeah.
Never mind. It didn't do anything. No, it was not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, I looked at it. I reversed it. My fault.
This movie completely bombed. Do you have an idea of what it made or what?
What do you think it cost to make?
You're asking me my thought. So let's go. I'll guess budget to make first. I will say they had 24 million. So I'm gonna say for a budget.
You're close. A little
and
more.
then I'm gonna say for the return on it, I'm gonna say it only made 35 million at the box office.
You're way off. So I got it at 20 million, but I'm on the cost.
20 million cost. So you were 4 million over.
Okay.
Not bad.
This film made $278,000 domestic. $278,000 domestic.
Rewind. What year did this come out?
2020.
So this is pandemic shit. So
Well,
that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's pandemic. International, it made another just under 1.1 million international.
Wow.
This film only made 1.3 million.
See, they got 1.7 on Wikipedia, but still, it's so under what it was cost.
This film literally lost like 18 million.
This brings like so much to the front though, as far as us having that conversation, because that's something you don't think about is how hard this industry really got impacted when COVID hit, because 2019, 2020, 2021, even 22, 23 coming out of that.
I mean, you had to run out of theater to go see a movie.
You did, and
Yeah.
then coming out of it though, there was just people were still, they didn't want to be in public settings. It was hard. People still wanted to be from home. Look at Disney and Marvel and what Scarlett Johansson have in their big feud too.
Yeah.
When they tried doing the streaming movies, like now they're in a legal battle. Like these things just didn't go well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a messed up year, and I know a lot of that was because of COVID, but yeah, that it was hard transition coming back. I mean, I remember as soon as the movie theaters opened up, I think the first thing I went and watched was New Mutants, because it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed because of the Fox Disney merger, and then because of COVID, and so I'm pretty sure that was the first movie I went to in the theater, and me and my wife were the only ones in there because nobody was going out.
See, we went and saw Venom 2, but it was a friend that rented it out.
Yeah.
And so it was a group of us that all had the whole place. And, the first movie that I went and saw after everything was actually Afterlife, Ghostbusters Afterlife. But we went at 11 o'clock showing in the morning, like it was early, so there wasn't many people there. But, we've gone to a few at night. We went and saw Mario at night and it was packed. But back then you couldn't do it.
Well, yeah, but these movies that like Ghostbusters Afterlife, Mario, even New Mutants, those were big budget movies. Those are big budget
Not
movies.
only big budget, but they're already well-known names.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So they're
established.
established.
Where you had films like Fatman that were.
This was no one even heard of it.
Yeah,
I mean, I never knew of it until you told me.
Yeah, these smaller movies at that time, they just.
So you really, I mean, it's
they
hard.
wasn't getting anything.
It's really hard to really go off those numbers and give them a fair chance.
Yeah.
Because one, people didn't really give a shit about Mel Gibson at the point.
But honestly, it probably hurt those directors' career because of you lose $18 million for a studio.
And
They're not going to hire you back.
But
Yeah.
I'm hoping that studio, I mean, even though we haven't seen anything out of them, so it's evident, but I'm hoping those studios understand that and try to go back to some of these people. Now, my next question to follow up with this topic would be, okay, do we know what it did in DVD sales?
I did look at that too, and I didn't write that number down, but it wasn't much more than it was like 1.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it lost at least.
So
16,
it was
17
even
million.
lost on digital DVD sales.
I wonder what percentage, just like us being musicians knowing the Spotify bullshit, we won't even get into that. But I'm wondering how that correlates for streaming to the actors as well. I'm wondering how much they see on that as well.
I'm sure it's
Not even worth talking about.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it's pennies.
Do you remember the dude who played Rufio in Hook?
Yeah.
So he's awesome. I follow him on TikTok. Cool dude. But he does these royalties checks opening. So he gets royalty checks from everything he did growing up to present. And he's like, is it a steak dinner tonight or am I getting ramen? And he opens the checks and then he shows people what's going on. And he like is straight up with them. He's like, oh, steaks tonight. But usually it's ramen because he gets so little from the royalties. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in all reality, you got to plan on what you get in the initial is going to be your biggest.
Well, and I've looked at a lot of the numbers, just because I'm always curious on that with films, and I've looked at numbers for DVD sales and digital sales for movies that you would think would be like they're making tons of money on these DVD, Blu-ray, and digital sales, and when you look at the total numbers, a lot of them I'm looking at and I'm like, people just aren't buying it.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone. I don't think streaming services are reporting accurate numbers. Should I say for what's
I'm
purchased
sure
at
they're
home on
not.
those fronts too? Because
Sure they're not.
like you still can buy them at home for $20 when they come out for that in
Yeah.
digital format, and I don't think those are being recorded actually.
Yeah.
So
I would
that's-
rather
Yeah.
go buy a physical copy and
Well,
then use the code.
and that's me. I buy a
If I
lot
can.
of physical copies. I do buy digital. I do buy digital too, but I
League.
usually with them.
Right.
But I've become really adamant about buying, especially obscure films that are out of print or anything like that. I tend to buy them and hang on to them. I had a friend that actually brought me a box earlier.
Yeah.
That's sitting over there of she had messaged me yesterday, and she's like, "Hey, I've got all these DVDs. I'm just going to throw them out or something." And I'm like,
No, you're
"No." I'm like,
Bring 'em
"No,
over, yeah.
bring them over here." She goes, "Well, you may not even want these." I said, "No, I want them." I didn't even care what they were. I said, "No, I want them," because I
Let me tell you why that's so important, in my opinion. The reason, and a lot of our people in our age, 40 and above, even late 30s, we've been so used to and accustomed to having those CDs, those DVDs, the Blu-rays, anything that's a physical element. And I forgot who it was. I read an article from someone last week that they said that by buying physical items, you are preserving history.
and that's truth.
Yes, I
and
completely agree with that.
I've always liked the
that's,
artwork.
and that's why I buy so many, or if somebody's throwing them out, I'm usually right there going, give them to me. I don't even care what they are, give them to me, because there's so many films that I love that are out of print. You can't get,
Right.
you can't get them on digital. They just do not exist in any form. There's films that are some of my favorite films that never even got a DVD release. Like they were on VHS, then that was the end of it. You never saw them again.
They're trying to push that with the PlayStation stuff. They gave them
Yeah.
the Xboxes, PlayStations have the models without the physical disc part. GameStop's getting ready to go over to the
Yeah.
digital content too. It's like we gotta stop this. Like,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because
No.
You're not gonna be able to, though.
Now,
It's
and
unfortunate though, because what's the J.J. Abrams television show? Was it Revolution? Was the one
Yeah.
about us
Yeah.
EMP and all electronics being gone?
yeah,
Like, yeah, granted that's not a realistic thing that's gonna happen anytime soon, but say something like that did happen.
Yeah.
All we have is whatever's
Oh,
left.
look at
to
some of the
preserve
episodes
down
of
the road.
Black Mirror.
well,
Yeah.
Some of that stuff, like the contacts, like that's one of my favorite episodes. I haven't watched a lot of them, but I've seen that one, and it's like, damn, that is
Dude,
crazy.
The social media episode of that one where you have a rating to score people and people can just shit on you like Yelp, like that shit is too real and too scary.
yeah.
yeah,
Too creepy.
Yeah, and I buy a lot of digital too, because I do love digital. I love the ease of digital, especially when I'm on the road. You know, toward a musician, I love having digital media. So I do love digital media, and I'm not one of those. It's like, especially like when people were switching from CDs to digital. I fought that for a while. Now I don't buy CDs anymore. You know, I don't think I'm gonna do that with film because I've been burned too many times with films that I've had that I got rid of, thinking, oh, well, I'll just pick it up on digital. Or there was some I let go that I did have on DVD, but my thought process was, oh, well, I'll just rebuy this on Blu-ray. It'll be coming out on Blu-ray. Well, guess what? Never happened. The DVD went out of print. It never has been movies that have never been released on Blu-ray, and then here I am without that film, and you can't even get it anymore. So now it's like I try to. It's kind of like you said. It was Christopher Nolan that was talking about how people like us that are buying DVDs and Blu-rays and 4K and keeping these discs and not solely living off of digital, you're preserving these films because there's so many of these films that have been lost, you know, to studios arguing over who the rights go to, or they just don't think it's profitable to re-release something.
If you I don't know, I'm about to get real nerdy. I'm sorry, James. Some of the satellites and some of the exploratory missions they've sent out into space have discs on them, and the discs are hardwired. Essentially, there's a coating on them physically.
How do you have time to even learn about this?
There's a
when you
coating
can
on them
never even answer
physically
your
that
phone?
gives the location of our planet. It tells where we're at. It has songs included from us that are physical elements in disc form. So if we're sending shit like that out in space, I think we should be preserving our own history.
Have you
here.
actually
Yeah.
been to space?
I would love to. Why are you a flat earther?
No, I'm not a flat earther, but
I
I
could see you being a flat earther.
no.
You remember when William Shatner went to space?
The sound bites from that were glorious.
Rating.
Rating. I'm
Segue
gonna,
okay there?
I'm gonna say 3.5. I'm gonna pull your number.
I'm a
you
little
pulled.
surprised at that. Is that because you've seen it enough times that now you've thought about it more?
Well, honestly,
If your first time would have been higher,
honestly, my first time would have probably been maybe a 4 because I was just really, really loving it because of Walton Goggins. However, I'm really in the middle ground really on this movie now after seeing it a few times. Yeah, I'm giving it a 3.5, but I would probably, if you were to ask me tomorrow, I'd probably say I probably should have gave that movie a 3, you know. But since I picked it, I'm going to give it a 3.5. And because my initial feelings on the movie were so high when I originally watched it.
Were you high?
I was not.
No, I this is another one that, Krampus surprised me. Wasn't expecting when I got out of that. I loved Krampus in the last episode. This episode for this, I was a fan. I hadn't seen it before. I went in, but because of those moments that I was talking about that I felt were lacking, I stuck with a 2.5 on this one for me. So 2.5 nerds.
So, like I said, I enjoyed the darker side of Kris Kringle. I enjoyed the idea that it actually was a business. My only downfall to the whole movie was honestly their gunfight.
Well, the gunfight and to me the kid.
The kid was annoying as shit, but I
But
understand.
that was the drive home point.
But he is
Yeah.
like you have to have him or
Yeah.
you don't have a movie.
He's the epitome of what
It's kind of like I mean like not to go completely off base here, but like it's kind of like Babadook. I hated that kid for the first half of the movie because he's just screaming the whole time. But then the second half of the movie, you feel terrible for the kid. You know, like
honestly,
but-
I would argue that you didn't have to have that kid in the movie though.
Yeah, you could have just went off. He's just pissed off.
You
So
really
yeah, you're
could've.
actually right there.
They could have just had a random ass old person hire Goggins. Instead of
Goggins could have
You
just
almost
did.
got me saying Gaggins. You know that?
You're welcome.
Anyways, they could have had a random older person.
I think
take
you
the
could
kid
have
out.
just started the whole movie with just him being pissed off and Christmas is coming up and he's like, I'm fucking done. I'm going to do it.
And instead of
And it
going
might have
back-
been better.
And instead of going back and seeing the kid again, had a longer gunfight.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the kid did give added texture that was relevant and important because you show this little spoiled shit, him not getting his way, he's getting coal, and it pertains to Santa. And at the end, he tries to kill his grandma, and Santa's like, "Dude, I will fuck you up if you do that again." So it's pretty cool in that regard.
It is.
I gave it a 3.7.
Whoa, we're getting into decimal points
Getting
here.
in,
Ooh,
Getting
I don't-
out of the
yeah,
middle
We're at
ground.
3.5.
yeah, but that's just a half season. That's
Oh,
half
Jesus
that.
Christ. I'm yeah.
3.7. He's
I-
thinking
I would have been at a
He
4.
He rated that higher than Krampus.
I would have gave it a 4 if the gunfight was better. That part was just like it was almost like an anxiety ridden like can you get this get something going here. Otherwise I was okay with it.
was him getting shot in the eye an ode to A Christmas Story? You'll shoot your eye out.
Nah,
your eye
I
out.
think,
with
Stretching,
that
I
thing.
know.
I think you're stretching.
I just
on
wanted
that
to
a
bring
little
back
bit.
Christmas Story because you shit on it last time.
I'll shit on it every
You
time.
shouldn't. It's
I'll
amazing.
wait.
I
It'll be
can't
June
believe you
and I'll
said
shit
you
on it.
liked the sequel.
Yeah, I'm a little
Better than
disappointed
the
in that.
original.
You know what's
Yeah,
funny?
Lord.
I felt that way with oh God, what's that?
House
that?
2?
Hocus Pocus.
House 2 was the better film.
Hocus Pocus. I hated the first one. The second one I thought was actually decent.
I'm flipped on that one.
But well, all right.
Well, I think that about wraps up our third.
This will be
Third
number 3.
episode.
Oh my God, our third episode. We're creeping along here.
Yeah.
You want to close this out there?
You can't. It's this movie.
No. Oh wait.
You're the closer.
I'm the closer.
You're the closer. You're so good at it.
3cinenerds@gmail.com
Thank
is
you,
the
Ryan.
email.
Thank you, Ryan.
So if,
God damn
if
it.
you guys have suggestions and you guys want to be part of this as much as we'd like to have you, we'd appreciate it.
You know, let's throw this out there real quick though. Like, if you have suggestions of movies, if you have suggestions of movies by an actor, a certain actor, you know, like you can pick
Or-
someone that's done movies.
Or a certain director, Albert Pine.
If you don't want to be so specific, or the more important thing, if you guys give suggestions, you clearly can get a feel like by now for the movies we like and our opinions. So if you guys had things for us to get outside of that box, we'd love to hear it.
I disagree.
He disagrees. That aside, what else I have to say? Next week.
Next week. What are we watching next
We're
week?
watching the ultimate Christmas movie, Die Hard.
Questionable. Is this a Christmas movie?
Sound off. Let us know. 'Cause
Go to the Facebook page. Please go to the CineNerds Facebook page, and we want to know.
We want to
Is
know.
Die Hard.
You know what? The day we release this episode, we're gonna put a post up and we'll take a poll. That'll be one of our first polls there, and we're gonna say, do you feel it's a Christmas movie or not? So we'll go from there.
And be sure to click like, follow, and share. Invite your
Share.
friends. Invite your friends to the
Share,
Facebook
share.
page and subscribe to the YouTube. So there we
Oh
are.
yeah, there's a YouTube.
There is a YouTube. Alrighty, I am JP.
I'm Ryan.
I'm James.
Good night.